The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom, shalom. I hope you all are well. Let's go. Let's go. Hope you all are doing fine. Blessings. Boy, do we have a class for you today. Yes, yes, yes. A blessed Sabbath. A blessed Sabbath. Let's go to Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way. Lord God, my path, show me the way to Zion. To Zion, to Zion. Blessings, brothers and sisters. We are the elders of the Gathering of Christ Church here with your weekly Sabbath service. Okay? But first of all, I would like to give a hearty welcome to all the brothers and sisters who are fairly new and have been introduced to this work. Welcome to this journey. We welcome you to a new light, a new understanding towards Christ's kingdom in the name of the Most High, Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, which is His name. We welcome you to the Sabbath. Oh yeah, who we have here? Okay, Tony. How you doing, Tone? Let me see my people up in here. Praise the Most High. Hebrew Harris. Man, I'm going to tell you, he's a regular. Black Rain 303. Shalom. Chuck. Risa. Yasha Allah, how are you? Adria, Dove, Patty Small, we see you regularly. Sandra, how are you? Blessings, 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 blessings. Zena King, how are you? Blessings, blessings, all my brothers and sisters. Shabbat, Shalom, and welcome to the Gathering of Christ Church. As you can see, As you can see, we're grateful and we're here to celebrate the life the Most High have given us in this church by what? Exuding on the Most High Sabbath positivity. I know it's rough in the world that Satan has created this dark cloud, but you know, happiness is a virtue. And all in all, it's up to each individual to decide how their day will go and what will impact them, whether or not they'll be impacted positively by exuding positivity or darkness. We all have that choice. And this is why I'm going into a lesson today. A very, very, I believe, constructive, positive, but what I'll tell you, needed lesson. It's positive, but it has a lot of identifying the darkness that, you know, that cloud which continually hovers over and look to destroy the elect and those who have the light. So it's up to us whether or not we're going to receive the darkness or be the light to drown the darkness out. That's why this lesson will be so important as a teaching tool going forward, especially in dark days when Satan is using situations to bring us down and scenarios to bring us down. But I'll go into that in a moment. Let me put this tracker to the side. Real quick, turn it off. No soon as we get into a key moment, usually there's a disturbance through these, you know, through these machinations, through these computers. But I digress. Okay, people ask, well, Elder Ricard Shar, you seem a little cheerful this morning. What's going on? Well, let me give you an outline on what you all can expect. You new brothers, you brothers and sisters who've had tenure, what to expect from the Gathering of Christ Church this year before going into the lesson. We have good news coming that we would like to share with you all. What is the good news? Regional baptisms. Let me drop what we're going to talk about, what I'm going to be doing. We are so excited to announce that myself and Elder Lawyer, in the near future, along with the regional elders, will be planning a special day of baptisms in all 4 regions of the United States. And then we're going to also look to do this abroad, which means those who seek to be baptized will be able to do so regionally by the elders of the church, bringing you all in at a bank together, baptizing in the name of the Most High, the true name of the Most High, Christ and the Holy Spirit, ushering in a new generation of saints for the kingdom. Don't forget, the Bible stated, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. It's not who started, it's who finished. So I remember going back in the beginning, before this church began to baptize and actually turn into something that we needed to organize. The first time in the beginning when this church began, I was out at the brook with only a few people, would go into living water and baptize. Well, guess what? The Spirit is on us to go out there and gather as many people to the baptism as we can before the tribulation hits hard. We're going to need one another. So I'm going to be more engaged in these baptisms, going to each region, galvanizing the saints that are in the church with the new saints in an effort to come together before the end. We're going to need one another. And you brothers and sisters are going to have to going to have confidence within yourself that Elder Lawyer and I aren't just people behind a computer or camera. Okay? There's more to it than that, and you'll realize that as we come closer to the end. Knowing that there'll be a day, one day, where all of this computer, all these things we're doing right now will actually be illegal to teach God's word. To be before you one day, it'll be illegal. Everything is going underground. They're going to cut all of this out because teaching the Bible will be deemed misinformation. So it's time to go back to the grassroots, get all we can into Christ's fold to plan what's to come going forward. You'll be hearing about that, and I'm excited. I'm excited to go through the earth, starting with the United States, baptizing those into the fold, welcoming our brothers and sisters into the body of Christ with this truth. Also, more good news. All praises be to the Most High. The Gathering of Christ Church, we are in negotiations to purchase farmland and campgrounds that will allow us to host future tabernacles, Passovers, and other feast days and or events. Right? So the church will have our own place to gather, our own place for venues, especially when it comes a time where they're trying to lock out people from being able to gather if we claim to be Israelites under Christ. Okay, so Amalek owns a lot of these venues, and he's upset because why? All of the money that's coming in through these thousands of people learning the truth, right? It's not coming through him using their venues, even though we're paying for it. So because Amalek cannot benefit from the gathering, they're seeking to use the media to demonize it and make a law where Israelites and those in Christ cannot gather on our feast days, discriminating against us. But the Most High, I told y'all years ago, we're not just teaching the Bible. We put what we learn from the Bible into real-time action. It's not like these pastors who will come before you and preach before you with a motivational speech and they go on about their life and there's no connection to the people or planning for when things get bad for those who are a part of the elect. So yes, I'm happy to actually announce, as you can see, I'm a little chippy right now, on the good side. Cheerful is a better word. We're in negotiations to purchase farmland and campgrounds that will allow us to host future tabernacles, Passover, and other feast days. Okay? This land will also serve as other important initiatives that will be discussed locally within our congregations. More on this is coming in a few months, okay? In the months to come. We would like to thank you all thank all of our leadership, because Elder and Lawyer and I cannot do this alone. This work has been extended well beyond us. And we'd like to thank all the leadership throughout the four corners of the earth, even in Africa and different areas, for their hard work, and all those that donate to the Gathering of Christ Church. As none of this would be possible without your support. And I want to tell you again, like I said yesterday, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. This is doing so much for so many people. Okay? A few weeks ago, some of you heard about the brother, and I spoke to him, so he said that he would like me to talk about this, and he'll also come on the broadcast and talk about it. A few weeks ago, there was a brother who called into our broadcast. Never met him. He never met us. Wasn't a part of the body. And he just called in and stated that he'd been watching us for a while, a little during the pandemic time, plandemic or whatever the case. and stated, and some of you probably were there that Wednesday where the brother just stated outright that he's at the end based on his diagnosis of cancer. And I spoke with him. He said, listen, he'll come on, or I can state it. I feel good about this, because what I did was I told him I was going to call him the next day. He, at the end, he felt dejected, defeated. Even though we've never met him, he isn't a part of the body. I called him the next day. And he was so shocked. He's like, Elder, I'm like, don't worry about it. You said that you've been diagnosed with what type of cancer, what's going on here? He was so motivated. He sounded more motivated to be healed than he was the night before on the broadcast. So he was so excited talking with me, I had to redirect the conversation to why the Most High had him call. I said, brother, don't worry about it. Let's not go into that. I'm just a regular brother. I'm so happy I did a calling, but let's focus on what's going on with you. I'm here for you. And the brothers, I said, hold on. I got him on the phone with Truman's daughter, Crystal. And I got him on the phone. I said, brother, we have all the herbs you need. Talk to her concerning everything, what's going on with you. And we were on the phone together. I'm in my car speaking with the brother. He told her exactly what was going on with him. She said, Elder Ricard, I have to go on a trip. Okay, I have to go on a trip and I'll be back in a week. But this is what I'll do. I'll get everything this man needs to begin his healing process out to him by tomorrow. And I said, brother, have you heard that? The brother was elated. He was on the phone crying. Said, you don't have to do this. You don't know us. I don't know. You don't know me. I called you for the first time. I said, brother, listen, you've been chosen to understand who you are in these days, and understand that you need to focus more so on healing so that you can now heal others and bring others to the knowledge of the truth. And let this be your testimony. Let this be your testimony. Okay? That the Most High led you to a moment on a broadcast that began a progress for life. If you think about dying, you'll die. And they understand that there's something, when you're in those hospitals and doctors, there's one thing that they cannot measure with all their machinery. They can measure your glucose levels. They can measure your blood pressure. They can measure your oxygen. But there's no machine in the hospital that can measure your spirit. So the only thing I need you to do is fight. And we'll pray, and everything you need, every package that's needed to get you back to health, this church will send. As long as you tell me that you're willing to fight, you don't have to worry about any money. If you're willing to fight, it'll be our expense for your fight. And I said, call me weekly to give me an update on your progress. On your progress. And the brother, he's going to call eventually down the line. But a lot of you brothers and sisters don't know. This church doesn't stop and start when the camera comes on. Now, so we would like to thank all the leadership and those that donate to the Gathering of Christ Church, because of what you do, we can help so many people like that brother and others. Okay. Also, I would like to make an announcement. The website. Yes. We have a new website which is 99% done and which is doing a few tweaks before launching. This new website will be more interactive, have more articles, prepping tips, and monthly updates on what the GOCC is up to, and offer those on the GOCC network more visibility. And finally, it will allow guests to more easily contact the church nearby. We will also have a children are our future section. So the same time these Satanists are looking to turn our children, indoctrinate them into Satanism and Luciferianism, we thought we would have a segment of our website solely dedicated to fighting that evil by what? Giving key tips and understanding on how to keep the family together, and a place where the children can go on our site, be in our future. That section is coming soon that will cover educational lessons, biblical stories, and much more. Okay? Now let's go a few more things. Last but not least, and then we'll segue over. We are now accepting enrollments for the Hebrew and Bible Academy, which starts June 25th. And the theme of the next academy will be focused on the true history of the world through a biblical perspective. History, archaeology, because the devil is doing everything to have us believe over here in the West that none of what the Bible said ever happened. Liars and the father of lies. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to prove that the Bible is true beyond any shadow of a doubt, and that all of the secular history cannot be quantified or understood unless you know the Bible's narrative first. Okay, the true history of the world. Some new lessons will be. We're going to go into the serpent seed, a different spin on it, showing the fall of the gods, providing archaeological proof of the fall of the gods, which are the fallen angels, and the flood story within history. Not just Bible history, but secular history of the Gentiles, the Hindus, the Asians' accounts of the flood, the Mesopotamian areas, historical records that corroborates the Bible story of one man being saved through a flood. All of that and more will be in the academy. Color in the Bible, proving black nobility in Europe. They're really leaking it out now that it no longer can be hid that black people ruled Europe. So a lot of these Netflix are coming in with these people of color nobility stories to spin it, when the Hebrews been saying for a long time on the streets, even before there was YouTube, that we ruled Europe, that King James was a black man. Okay, on top of that, okay, he was the son of Mary of Scott, a black woman. Okay, on top of that, he was married and had children, spoke many languages, and opposed what? He opposed the papacy. He called the seat of the Vatican the Antichrist throne. He also sanctioned a decree for witch hunting, getting witches out of the way, because the Pope was using witches to infiltrate and turn our people, destroy our people through poisons like nurses do, and cause disruption. So he had a witch hunt where he would burn witches at the stake. They were very dangerous. And so because King James authorized, put those scholars together to translate the King James Version Bible, we have now the knowledge to overcome the darkness that came from the Vatican. The same Vatican King James was rivaling, was against, stating in the beginning summary before the Bible that there's some who wish ill to Zion. King James was an Israelite, a black man. So we're going to go into that because they're touching on it now on Netflix and others, right? But at the same time, they're trying to spin it into something else. Well, we're going to go into color in the Bible, this coming academy because it's part of the history of our people. History doesn't start with slave ships for us. That's what the Western world Satanists would like our people to believe. We were nobility. Even before Europe, we were nobility. All the kings of Israel were black men. All the prophets of Israel were black men. And I'm not saying that to boast. That's just a reality. We have to take our position back. That's given. That's right, folks. A bloodline promise through our father Abraham, and we will no longer allow the imposters to take what belongs to us. Okay? We're owning our position, and we weren't born, our children weren't born to serve forever. They need to know about the black nobility. The reason why they didn't allow us to read or write and want us illiterate in this Western world. They didn't want us to figure this out. Color in the Bible. The split between Israel and Judah, we're going to revise that a little bit and go more so into the kings. Because just because the kings were black, it didn't make the kings right. Let me make that clear. There's a clear distinction in identifying the true color of the Israelites, but that doesn't mean all our kings were right. Mm-hmm. So now we got to go into, how did we fall to such pass? How did the kingdom split? Who were the good kings of Israel? And who were the evil kings of Israel, which led to our demise? Well, that's a full discussion that we'll talk about in the academy. And you'll have a chart we'll give you highlighting each king within the academy. One other thing, who is Christ? So we're not just going to deal with the biblical scenario of Christ, who he was in the spirit world from the beginning up until the time he led Moses out of Egypt. That's right, it was Christ. Up until the time he was born into the earth through Joseph and Mary. Up until the time that he would give what? The keys to Peter and signify it. Boom. Signify is putting your signet on it. To the 7 churches. Right? And then it prophesied his return to establish a kingdom on earth. So it's not just the biblical narrative of Christ what we teach in who is Christ, the archaeological proof. What other nations outside of the Hebrews had any history concerning this man? Did he exist? Because now the Satanists trying to make people believe that he's a fictitious character that was created by the Romans. That and more in the academy. And then we're going to have a round table 3. I'm excited about this one. The battle between man and woman round table, where we'll have one married couple, which will be Shirley and her husband, and the rest singles. Single men and single women. We're going to have a round table where the sister's going to be on one side, single, and the brother's on the other side, and we're going to find out, what is this war about? Why can't man and woman come together for the greater good? That's right. Round table discussion, singles, part 3. You don't want to miss this, and I hope you are a part of this. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. Now, there's some more announcements I'm going to make at the end of this, but I just wanted to put that out there. Now that we've dealt with that, thank you. Let's go into the lesson. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahayanawa Ahaya Akkad.
Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Ahalanawa Akkad.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God. His name is Ahaya. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get your Bibles together. And please, hit the like button. What is our lesson today? Our lesson today is titled, And folks, this lesson is well overdue. Casting pearls before swine. What did Christ mean by that? Don't cast your pearls before swine. Now, and why is that important? Well, brothers and sisters, it's important, and I'm going to break it down in the lesson. Dovetailing off of last Sabbath about betrayal and those who would come against you. Christ emphasized this. Why? Because in the Bible it states, to the pure, all things are pure. Those who believe in Christ has an inclination and love towards their fellow man and seek to convert anyone and anybody close to them. Right? Giving them all the knowledge and love that came with what? The truth that you now celebrate. You want everyone to experience that. Why would Christ say or warn us not to give that to some people? Who's casting pearls to swine? And what does that mean? Well, now, first of all, we have to go into the knowledge of swine so that we can understand and parallel that with people who are operating in the spirit of swine. This way you'll understand who not to cast your pearls to. Pearls are precious. They're for royalty. And it comes a time where if you give that to someone who doesn't deserve it, they'll take what you gave them and seek to destroy you with it. They'll take what you gave them for good and use it to destroy you with it. Under the pathology and spirit of swine. Now, last week, hey, get your pen and pads together. Today, brothers and sisters, you'll understand why the Pharisees, scribes, and others hated Christ so much. They hated Christ so much. Get me the scripture real quick, Elder Lawyer, where they tried to discredit Christ by claiming that he was hanging out with publicans and sinners. Let's get that real quick. Let's get that. So we're going to deal with the pathology of a pig today. How even in ancient Babylon, there was a connection between demon possession and pigs. Boy, do you have it today. Right? Boy, do we have it today. That's right. Come on. Get your Bibles ready. Because some of you out there, a lot of you, is going to have many examples of what we're bringing forth that you've experienced in your life. How you meant to do something for good for a person, and you would have been better off not doing it. They took your kindness and the gifts, increased themselves, and everything you gave them, they turned around to stab you or to destroy you. That's why Christ said, be careful who you give things to. Know who they are. Well, today, you'll understand it. Let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Say Matthew 9, verse number 10.
Now, check out what Christ said. Matthew, a matter of fact, Elder Lawyer, I'm going to put it up here so they can see it.
Yes, sir.
Matthew 9, verse 10. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. And it came to pass, as Yeshua sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples.
So many people who are dealing with, sinful activity sat down with Christ, right? Who had bad reputations or whatever the case might be, right? Now check this out. Now, from one angle, it can be viewed, well, this is a good thing. Here's an opportunity for these people who are destroying the community to be amongst someone who can guide them out of the darkness and evil that binds them and create cultural ills destroying our people. So the positive thing is they're sitting with someone who can teach them better. Right? Now that's someone who's viewing it with a pure and righteous eye. Now someone that's viewing it with a what? With a satanic, evil, judgmental eye is going to see all of these sinners around this one person and say, he must be a sinner too. See? So Christ is teaching us something here, right? There's two separate perspectives. It depends on how you feel about Christ. Whether you love and honor and respect him and trust him, or whether or not you hate him and is seeking a scenario to minimize his power and worth. See? To minimize who he is. Let's read it.
Verse 11. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eat your master with publicans and sinners?
Why? No, so they go to the Pharisees now. I mean, the Pharisees go to those who with Christ now. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, why the cat, you think you down with him and he's supposed to be all this.
Right.
Why you should be with us. Because look at what he's doing. Mm-hmm. See? Snakes. Right? So here it is. They go to Christ's disciples, folks. So they usually try to go to those who aren't as, I would say knowledgeable and strengthened as someone in leadership. They're going to the students. A disciple is a student of Christ to try to sway them. Now, the Pharisees, folks, are measuring Christ through the law that's written. So they're bringing this accusation with some biblical strength because they know the law. All the things that the Bible says one shouldn't be, Christ is sitting amongst. Mm-hmm. According to the law, now the Pharisees have a ground to stand on. He's not down with the Most High. Look at who he's around. And look what Christ says.
Verse 12. But when Yeshua heard that, he said unto them, they that be whole, he need not a physician.
They that are whole need not a physician. Read.
But they that are sick.
But they that are sick. If you already got it together, holier than thou, and know God's law, why should I be hanging around you? You're fine. You're kingdom ready, right? Shouldn't I go to those who are hurting? Shouldn't I allow a circumstance where they're comfortable enough to be around me so that if the opportunity presented itself, I could heal and bring them into Christ's kingdom? See? So there's two ways of looking at anything, right? You have someone who always antagonize or try to seek something wrong so that others can view darkness like they do, through dark lenses like they do. As if they're right, as if they're so holy. Read 13.
Verse number 13.
Come on.
But go ye and learn what that meaneth.
So you know the law, Pharisee. You know what's right or wrong examining other people. But you need to learn something. Go learn again. Read.
But go and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice.
He says, because I would have mercy and not sacrifice. What did Christ meant by that? You Pharisees coming to judge things according to the works that was bestowed within Christ. You'd rather be under my mercy than the sacrifice you received under Moses. Why? Because he knew he would do away with the sacrifice the Pharisees were using to cover their sin. He says, you better receive me, because at least these sinners have the mercy to receive me as a sacrifice. You won't have that not believing in me. You're not going to have any cover for your sin. And that would make you no better than these sinners I'm sitting amongst. Now you see why they hated Christ? Because Christ pointed out their hypocrisy. How someone thought that they had the unmitigated gall to judge his ministry and what he was doing as if they were right, as if they were holy. He says, if you would have known what this means, why I'm sitting with these sinners, I would have had mercy on you and forgive you for the sins you know you're doing too. At least these people amongst me are willing to admit they're sinners. Hypocrite. See? Come on, let's go.
But go ye and learn what that meaneth.
Come
I
on.
will have mercy and not sacrifice. For I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance.
I'm not come to call the righteous, but the sinners to repentance. So never judge the outward appearance, because when people are looking for something wrong or looking for something evil, they'll stare at one thing and ignore all the good. Who's he sitting around? Or who he talking to? Or what people? Or what happened? What's going on? Rumor mill. Right? So we're going to go in. And folks, all of us know people like this. But the Bible, Christ breaks down the pathology of a pig. Swine. Christ breaks it down. So when it says, cast not your pearls before swine, and we're going to break that down, what he meant by that. Right? Know to whom you're giving the light. Because if someone resents you, if someone hates you, if someone is envious, they'll sit around and soak up everything from you to only use it and weaponize it against you without appreciating what they were before you delivered it to them. We're going to go into it. Elder Lawyer, I need you to go to where, we're going to get that later, where Christ cast the spirit of allegiance into swine. I'm gonna need you to get that in a moment. Right? Because that's the one I didn't prepare before the lesson. Boy, hey, we're going in today, buddy. Here it is. Here it is, huh? What's that? The one in Luke?
Yep.
Or one in Mark? You got the one in Luke?
Yes, sir.
All right, hold that. Let me know when you have it.
Yes, sir.
Let me know when you have it. Right? Hold on, let me get this real quick. You have it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to hold that. Right? Remember, brothers and sisters, last week? And I'm picking up from last week, but now we're putting a magnifying glass. We're going to magnify what I broke down last week to the next level. Remember last week I showed you the prophecies of 2nd Baruch, where the Most High said we would experience these particular attacks at the very end. Signs of the times that Christ breaks down in Matthew 24. 1 is commotions. 2 is the slaying of the great ones. 3 is the fall of many by death. 4 is the sending of the sword. 5 is famine. 6 earthquakes. 7 terrors. 8 demon attacks. Fall of fire. Oppression. Unchastity, which is sexual freedom, and confusion. These are the 12 parts that we'll see at the very end, ruling over people who aren't in the Spirit of Christ. Right? So in order to understand this, the pathology of a pig, we must go back to the book of Enoch. Let's go back to the book of Enoch, where it goes into the origin of demons. Where do demons come from? Where do they come from? And why do they act out? Especially when it comes to acting out through people, which is deemed demon possession. What our modern day system were able to do was to harbor that within people and use certain types of pills and others that would suppress the spirit that would normally fight against the demon, that allow the demon to stay in people. Some would submit that the world powers love demon-possessed people who are easily controlled by the principalities and powers of the air. Right? So jumping right in. Where do demons come from? There's a lot of different myths, theories out there claiming that fallen angels are demons. No. They're the fathers of demons. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. The book of Enoch, chapter 15, verse 8. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh.
Now the giants who are produced from what?
The spirits and flesh.
The spirits, which are the fallen angels, and flesh, when the sons of God came down and dealt with the daughters of men that they will fear, and brought forth giants. Genesis 6. Read.
Shall be called evil spirits upon the earth.
They shall be called evil spirits upon the earth. This is the origin of demons or evil spirits. Okay? When the flood came and destroyed the Nephilim, there was no place, no original holding place for these beings who were created through sin. So the Most High would have their spirits roam the earth until judgment. Right? Until judgment. There's no place for them. So they would roam the earth until judgment. So when the flood happened, they stayed over the waters and went into caverns and all different areas of the earth until the water subsided, and then came back out seeking new hosts. witches and warlocks have cultivated the craft of controlling these spirits and use them as spiritual weapons against people, right? Like we see in voodoo, witchcraft, and all that. So these ancient incantations that you see is controlling these spirits to attack other people. Now who has the greater power and have no fear over these demons? Christ and those who are in them. Christ and those who are in Christ. Why? Because these are they fear. So the elite powers attack the Bible and attack those who believe in Christ, understanding that the Bible and those who believe in it are the only ones these particular spirits fear on earth. All the other sheep are utilized as hosts. Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. Enoch 15:8. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits on the earth. And on the earth shall be their dwelling.
Now this is how you know when people are riddled with these spirits, the Nephilim, demons. Read.
Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies. They shall be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits shall they be called.
Come on.
As for the spirits of heaven on earth shall be their dwelling, and the spirits of the giants afflict.
They afflict.
Oppress.
Oppress other people.
Destroy.
Destroy. Look to destroy and attack other people.
Attack.
Attack other people.
Do battle.
Do battle. They're always looking for a conflict.
And work destruction on the earth.
And they're not building anything. They're just seeking to destroy and to cause destruction. So that's how you know when someone has one of these ancient spirits of the Nephilim or are demon possessed. Nothing is coming from them but negative attacks and all of that. See? Using the example of Christ, when Christ said, what? He said it outright. Well, if you whole, you don't need a physician. But he knew those Pharisees who were trying to point out things against him were even worse than the publicans and sinners he was sitting amongst. Mm-hmm. He said, if you understood what time it was, you would have mercy and not sacrifice. I would actually help you with your demon problem. At least these people know they have a demon problem. But you're walking around with the law and have a demon problem, which makes you even worse than them. See? Come on.
It says here, and the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst.
They take no food, nevertheless hunger and thirst. So they need what they do, because there was Nephilim consuming all types of food and grain away from people before the flood. When they get inside a person, they seek to fulfill that insatiable appetite through hunger. This is why the world is suffering through obesity, another form of a hidden demon. A hidden demon. Hey, what did I do? You know what I did? I went and purchased the original Voynich manuscript that the elites allegedly used to control the world through drugs. Every drug is in here, including marijuana, the gateway drug that makes it where what? You get the munchies. Part of the side effect of the drug, even though it has good medicinal properties, but it has evil properties too. The marijuana plant was one of the fruits from the tree of good and evil. It's one of those, it was 12 different fruits on that tree too. And marijuana, what we see today, is a variation of that on another level. Poppy seed, all of these were a part of the original tree of good and evil. So it has medicinal purposes, but it also feeds the demon. It feeds the demon. It puts you to sleep. It have you go through the earth without care. Oh yeah, the Bush family, Bush Sr., through the CIA, they went and got these records. And the Bush before them of the Voynich manuscript and said, we need to come up with a way to control a population of millions. That's right, by putting them on something. Because there's a demon connected to every one of these plants in here. And if they're the overlords and the illuminate ones who see over all, they have the power to control those. That's right. Who are filled with jinns or genies. Another name for demons, jinns. So now the elite can control you. That's how they control the population. If they can get everybody on something. I'm going to be going into that. Because why? They needed to make a way in which they could control the people, because it's inherent in our spirit under God who made us to fight anything that's contrary to our moral conscience. So if they didn't add the drug part of it, we would have the conscience to fight and battle and get these spirits out. But I digress. It's an entirely different lesson. Suppose if it wasn't just through the drugs, they can keep the demon on people. Suppose they can have the demons take hold of people through your food. Suppose. Is that possible? Let's see. They hunger, come on.
They hunger and thirst, or it says here, they take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offenses.
And cause offenses. They cause trouble. Now, usually what happens is when the demon is in a person, it attacks everyone around them because the demon seeks to have that person alone. So when people can no longer bear that person because the person is dangerous, it finds itself wandering in the wilderness by itself. Because anyone in proximity of the demon will get attacked by it. Check it out. I'm going to show you. That means if a person is struggling with a demon and know it exists, but begin to feed and operate after getting bound by that spirit. This is what happens. The person knows that demon exists. But if that person isn't fully understood and rooted in Christ, eventually that spirit will take over and bond that person. And the only person you'll see is the demon. Attack it. Destroy it. Causing battle. I'm going to show you. Read.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women.
Come on.
Because they have proceeded from them.
So they would seek to go into men and women. So what gives these particular spirits access? Sin. Sin. So now let's go into casting pearls before swine. There's a serious reason why the Most High said for our people to stay away. All people, not just our people. No person should be eating pigs. Let's read it out of the Bible, Leviticus 11. Leviticus 11, let's get it. Right? And let's start at the 7th verse.
Yes, sir. The book of Leviticus, chapter 11, verse
Matter of fact, start at 1.
Yes, sir. Leviticus 11 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
Come on.
And whatsoever part of the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
You can only eat. You could only eat according to God. And this was since eating meat was lawful after the Garden of Eden. So this didn't just start with Moses. How do you know this? Well, Noah was commanded to put 2 clean and 7 unclean. 7 clean and 2 unclean on the ark. So how would he know that? Well, the clean is used for sacrifice. It's what the Most High made to be received with thanksgiving. This is what he told Abel to sacrifice. So Moses had to have knowledge of his law to know to bring 2 pigs, male and female, only on the ark, and bring 7 sheep, lamb, and others. See? You'd have 7 of those because you had to use them to consume and sacrifice to our God. A clean sacrifice. Right? So here it is. The Most High said the only thing people should eat, that's all people, Ham, Shem, and Japheth was on Noah's Ark. It's supposed to eat are clean foods. That's it. No unclean food. That means even out of the waters, the only thing you are supposed to eat is what? You got it. Fish that has scales and fins. Period. That's it. Everything else is an abomination because what? It tells us in the Bible, the wages of sin is death. If you eat the poisons, you will die from the poisons. And the Most High is perfect in his creation. He made the pig and other abominable animals for their service outside of sacrifice or food for people. Read it.
4. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof.
You can't eat camel.
He is unclean unto you.
And that's another thing. Muslims don't eat, over there in the Middle East, the Arabs and Muslims, they don't eat pork, but they eat camelback. They still eat shrimp, crab, lobster, and everything else out of the ground. Squid, everything. So they're still unclean. Abraham didn't deal with none of that stuff. The father of Ishmael. Come on.
Jumping down to verse 7. And the swine.
And the what?
And the swine.
And the swine.
Though he divide the hoof.
Though he divide the hoof, which means he have a split hoof. And a lot of us understood that growing up eating pig feet. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I'm not judging no one on that matter. Because I remember coming home from dancing and all that up there on 16th and Berks, and we used to go to a guy. I was about 15, 14 years old. Or go to a guy up the street who had a speakeasy, and we would split up our money after dancing and go straight to the speakeasy and pick out the pig feet that was floating in vinegar. We would sit there and be like, no, I want that one. So I'm not saying this to judge people, because before we knew better, before the Most High gave us the truth, I ate pork. I remember looking at that floating foot. And guess what? It split the hoof like the Bible says. Though it has split hoof. Read.
Though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud.
He cheweth not the cud, which means what? It chew grass and all that's natural, and it regurgitates that up like with a second stomach to make it Exactly. It cheweth the cud. All natural protein from the ground, from grass. Come on.
He cheweth not the cud. He is unclean unto you.
He is unclean to you. So the Bible made it clear, the law, that we were not supposed to actually eat swine. Read.
It says, verse 8, of their flesh shall ye not eat,
You can't eat pork.
and their carcass shall ye not touch.
You can't even touch it after it's dead. Now hold up here. Read.
They are unclean to you.
It's unclean to you. That means it'll work contrary to the reason the Most High would have us consume meat. It would work contrary to that. Now, what would the Magi or the sorceress of Babylon do, knowing this law according to God? How did the Babylonians use pigs? They're priests. And this is going all the way into the pathology of those who operate in swine, is what you'll learn today. Going into our academy, historical and archaeological proof. Folks, there must have been something way deeper behind why the Most High said don't eat pork than what's being taught on the surface. There must have been. What is that connection between pigs and demons that will go into people, attack and do battle? Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Hit that like button, folks. We got 24. We're about 1,000 likes down. Please help us out. Hit that like button. Come on. I don't want help us out now. Fair use.
Only on Fox, at this time of year, we hear how important hand washing is to prevent the spread of the cold and flu. Tonight, you'll learn how hand washing could prevent a scary brain condition. A Valley mother of 4 is told that she has a brain tumor, but when doctors go in to remove it, they find something else, something living inside her brain. Rosemary Alvarez savors every minute with her kids.
That was a good throw.
Playing ball and laughing. For this mom, each day with them is a gift after coming too close to death last August.
I thought I had the flu. I started feeling tired.
But within days, this soccer coach and PTA president
Fair use.
knew it wasn't the flu.
I started feeling numbness in my left arm, blurred vision. I'm still smiling for my kids, but now I can't get out of bed.
2 trips to the ER solved nothing.
CAT scan came back normal, no problem.
Fair
Her
use.
husband George was scared.
She couldn't eat. She could barely walk to the bathroom. So I knew at that point, she was deteriorating really quick.
It all came to a head on the first day of school as their kids aged 9 through 17 headed back to the classroom. Their mom was in an ambulance headed to Barrow Neurological Hospital after an MRI explained those strange symptoms.
It came back. You have a brain tumor. At that exact moment where my heart fell just completely all the way down.
But the news would get worse. Neurosurgeon Dr. Peter Nakaji.
Once we saw the MRI, we realized this is not good. It's something down in her brain stem, which is as deep into the brain as you can be.
George broke the news to the kids.
It was a rough day because it was the first day of school, and they came home with all their stuff from school and all the stuff to sign. And look what I got from my teacher.
Fair
and where's
use.
Mom? And what's Mom? Well, Mom's in the hospital, and this is what happened.
As Rosemary waited for surgery, she worried.
Oh my God, we just canceled our insurance like 3 weeks ago, and now this happens. And mostly, how are we going to pay for this?
And she prayed.
It's okay, God. If you're going to take me, but make sure my kids are good.
By the time the surgery got underway, all those PTA moms and neighbors, her kids, they were all praying too.
My girlfriend, she goes, everybody's calling and saying they're praying for you, they're praying for you. church, they're going to church and they're having the mass, pray for you. And power of prayer. That's what I told them. Power of prayer.
It worked. Dr. Nakaji was expecting to find a brain tumor. He showed me the video as he operated on Rosemary's brain, carefully working, knowing this is the most dangerous spot in the human body to work next to, the brainstem.
Here's the lump, and at this point it still looks like a brain tumor, and so we're just opening up into the inside. And
then the unexpected. No tumor, instead a worm. Watch as Dr. Nakaji grabs the worm and gently tugs it out of Rosemary's brain. It's still alive. You don't hear him on the tape, but Nakaji actually chuckles.
Which I'm sure is a very strange response for the people in the operating room, but because I was so pleased to know that it wasn't going to be something terrible.
This worm comes from eating undercooked pork, but more frighteningly, it can be spread by people who have the parasite in their bodies and don't wash their hands well.
You see how they brushed over that? You see how they brushed over that, brothers and sisters, and made it seem as if it was about her not washing her hands? And then they hit it. It was the pork. It was the pork. In her brain, folks. Now, what effect neurologically and others was that having on this woman? See, the Most High is perfect in his law. There's more. The pathology of a pig. And this is what happens when people operate outside of God's law. This is animal health skills. Another pathology of a pig. Occasionally, souls will attack their own piglets. So when people take on the spirit of a pig, they lash out at their own children. Usually soon after birth, they'll get rid of their own children, causing injury or death. In extreme cases where feasible, outright cannibalism, eating their own, will occur, and the soul will eat the piglets. They would have no care for their own children. Is there a connection between our diet and what we're consuming and how we're acting out in our society? The development of this behavior is often complex and difficult to stop and can cause significant losses. Interesting, isn't it? So now we're getting an insight on why not just our God says stay away from pigs. The nature of swine, to why Christ stated, you can't cast pearls to this. It'll destroy you like it does its own young. It'll destroy you. See? And if it doesn't care for its own family, it'll devour its own family. What do you think it's going to do to you if you give it the knowledge to do so? There's more. What is the connection between pigs and the Christian church? Well, we all know that the Christian church today mimics itself after the ancient Babylonian priesthood. So, I have a white paper here, Myths and Legends of the Babylonian and the Assyrians. Chapter 10. I'll be going into more of this. I say archaeology and history is what we're going to be hitting in the academy. So I thought I would just give y'all a little insight to what we'll be talking about. The magic and demonology of Babylonia and Assyria. right? Now, magic, what does that have to do with swine or pigs? Well, when you type in swine here, right? At the very end, let's see what was going on in ancient Babylon when it came to exorcisms. The Maklu series deals with the spells against witches and wizards, images of whom are to be consumed by fire. The accompaniment of suitable spells and prayers. The Serpu series contains what? Let me get this out of the way, the fair use. Look at this, folks. The Serpu series contains prayers and incantations against taboo. That against evil spirits provides the haunted with spells which will exorcise demons, ghosts, and the powers of the air, generally speaking of the demons that were destroyed before the flood, the Nephilim, and place devils under a ban. In other magical tablets of Babylon, this is the Babylonian white paper here, the diseases to which poor humanity is prone or guarded against, and instructions are given on the manner in which they may be transferred to the dead bodies of animals, usually swine and goats. So let's focus on this for a moment. The priests understood that the demons in people, right, could be transferred in certain incantations into pigs and goats. Now, why goats in particular? I'm going to go into that in a moment. So it's no wonder every year you have these people dressed in all black up in New York praying over the turkeys they're giving out in our neighborhoods. But what spirits are they praying into the turkeys? This is top magic, folks, of Babylon. That they would take the demons from exorcism and cast them into pigs. Now, suppose they take these pigs and chop them up and put them in market and put a price on them to sell to the population. You would have a whole population operating like pigs. Now, I have more before I go into Christ. Now, folks, I'm not judging what you eat. Eat what you want. We're dropping the truth to you here. All right? It's your money, your diet. Right? So I'm not here to judge anyone's diet here. But in particular, the priest of Babylon would have a goat or a swine or pig there because the demons would rather gain entry into these particular animals, in which they can exercise their filth and evil under temporarily until they find a person. They'd rather be in these animals than incantations to cast them into the air. And you know there's nothing but evil witches and warlocks, folks, over our food supply that are controlling our culture, controlling our neighborhoods through these same crafts. You think if they did this in Babylon, you think they aren't doing this now? Why the ram? Because the ram, like it says in the book of Enoch, they seek to do battle. They're not satisfied with peace. If they run into another, what you would call alpha ram, They seek to knock the alpha ram out of the way to take its place. Friction. Because that's what these demons like. So these demons, okay, the Babylonian priests would say, listen, especially when it came to the what you would call, usually the poor people would have to suffer not having enough money to pay the Babylonian priests. But when it came to the high class or the upper class of Babylon, with their children have spirits on them as teenagers and all that, well, the elite would go to the priest and say, please take my daughter for a week or two and cast out the demon. That's the origin of Catholic exorcisms. So, the demons, under these incantations, would choose the goat because they do battle. It's like the fight. If they're in a person, the person isn't trying to come to a resolve. They're always seeking a fight, like the goat. Or they'll become, because they're savage, like a pig who would eat anything and go into its own mire. The spirit would choose a pig or a goat. Now, we're given some insight to why Christ says, don't cast your pearls before swine or they'll do something to you. Everyone isn't worthy. Because everyone isn't worthy of your pearls. Why? Because Christ says you can't cast your pearls to swine and give them and build them and give them anything, or they'll use it to destroy you. Because pigs don't care for its own. Now I have more. I have more. Why would the demons choose a goat or a pig? Well, there was a such thing in the Levitical law as the scapegoat, where the sons of Aaron would pray the sins be forgiven for all of Israel before the Day of Atonement. And all the sins would go into a scapegoat that would be released into the wilderness, where the sins fall on the goat. And through that, the Most High would forgive the nation of Israel for another year. Let's get it. Let's get Leviticus, Elder Lawyer. 16, 8 through 10.
Yes, sir. The book of Leviticus, chapter 16, verse number 8.
Come on.
And Aaron shall cast lots upon the two goats, one lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat.
For the scapegoat. Now, why scapegoat? You would need to understand pre-flood history. Enoch breaks down one of the fallen angels who taught mankind evil was Azazel, to whom ascribe all sin. So the evil, when the angels came down and taught mankind evil, all of the evil fell on Azazel, who's now in the desert and is acknowledged, that's right, within Egyptian mythology as King Osiris. So the scapegoat, all the sin fell on Azazel. So when the Most High set up Moses under the law, he said, well, okay. To all sin, it will be ascribed to the scapegoat. The same way where there was a goat caught in a thicket when I told Abraham to bring Isaac up to Mount Moriah for sacrifice. All sin will eventually fall on the goat. The goat will die and be destroyed. Satan. So each year, all the sins of the people will be placed on a scapegoat. And the Most High would forgive us from year to year. But now through Christ, this practice no longer is necessary. But guess what? They're still doing this over there in Israel today. amongst their rabbis. So they understand the power of incantations, still dealing with it on the Babylonian side because that no longer exists on the Hebrew side. Christ fulfilled all sacrifice, but the Jewish people are still casting spirits or demons into scapegoats till this day through that same Babylonian ritual. So now, imagine someone riddled with spirits, right? Like swine. They don't care about anyone, destroying everyone around them. And then on top of that, they're operating like a ram, seeking for conflict every other second, with no peace. See? Read it, Elder Lawyer.
Verse 9. And Aaron shall bring the goat upon which the Lord's lot fell.
Come on.
And offer him for a sin offering.
A sin offering, read.
Verse 10. But the goat on which the lot fell to the scapegoat.
For the scapegoat.
Shall be presented alive before the Lord.
Come on.
To make an atonement with him. And to let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness.
To let him go for a scapegoat into the wilderness. It also highlights the fact that the goat is operating in the earth like the wilderness until the judgment. Satan. So the sins would come off the people being tempted by the goat. And there would be two. One for a sacrifice and the other to be let loose until judgment. Because why? The scapegoat is taking all the spirits and is seeking what? Attack, do battle, destroy. Now it's seeking another person to get into. So the Israelites understood this. And the priest would cast that goat out so that we would have peace until sins were accumulated until the next atonement. Are y'all understanding this? Yes.
So a lot of people are not. And I'm only saying it because it's becoming a problem. We are not saying don't eat goat.
Oh, no. So let me straighten that out. We're not saying don't eat goat, folks. That's why it showed two separate goats. Okay? One to be sacrificed, to be received with thanksgiving, but the other was the scapegoat to be let loose into the wilderness. Goat is clean food. That's why it said two. Right? The sins of the people will be put on one, and that was let go. The clean one was sacrificed and consumed. See? Y'all got that? So I'm really breaking it down one piece at a time so you can understand how this transfers to what Christ and the disciples were dealing with, battling those who had demons in them. And how he would connect that with animals. When he said, don't cast your pearls before swine, and I'm going to go there in a moment. Did you think he was talking about casting pearls, real pearls, to pigs? What are the pearls and who are the swine that we are to avoid? That's right. We're going into Christ's words. 1 second. We'll be right back with part 2. You got it. Casting pearls before swine.
The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out here anywhere can now identify the tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you
Exactly.
Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited.
And yes, let me make this clear. This is in no wise promoting veganism. Okay? Let me make that clear. Witches and warlocks all day long. You'll, believe it or not, you'll find the majority of witches and warlocks sacrificing vegetables. Under Yoruba, under African spirituality, witches and pagans, the majority of their sacrifices, where it's to these demons, is used through vegetables. So you cannot now use what we're teaching and say, well, okay, don't eat meat, but eat veggies. This is not that. If someone eat veggies, guess what? That's clean. That's lawful. If someone eat the clean foods written of in the Bible, that's clean. That's lawful. Okay? The Most High said stay away from swine and other unclean animals. Okay? So we're not doing this to push an ideology of veganism, because the majority of vegans, believe it or not, a lot of them deal with marijuana and all these other things, crystals and all that stuff. Straight witchcraft is connected to those who predominantly deal with just vegan. Not to say all, but usually there's a high level of witchcraft that goes into those who deal with strictly veganism for some reason. All right? So, staying on point here. Now let's get into Christ. Cast not your pearls before swine. Elder Lawyer, let's now go get real quick. All right. Let's get Matthew 7. Matthew 7. Oh, let me get it here. Matthew 7. And let's start at the first verse. This is Christ, Yeshua, yes, our King. All right?
Yes, sir. St. Matthew chapter 7, verse number 1. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye?
Why focus with the negative or the mote in your brother's eye,
but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?
So this is the Most High through Christ bringing insight here. You would have people trying to point out negative against someone else as if they're right, without examining themselves. You have to be clean yourself to see fit to heal someone else. And there's ways, according to the Bible, you heal a person if you care for them. See? There's ways of correcting without destroying. Mm-hmm. See? If you care about someone, it's how you do it. Okay? You don't judge them before the world and make everyone believe this person is the worst person that have ever operated on earth. You don't do that. As if you're better. You don't do that. And it says, and why holdest the mote that's in thy brother's eye, trying to focus on what's going on with your brother, but consider not the beam, folks, is a whole log. A whole branch coming out of your eye, out of your head. But yet you would judge your own brother or sister. Is as if you are without reproach. That's what Christ was talking about. Judgmental people. Because the only reason they would put things out there negative about a person like that, they would do that to minimize others, to exalt themselves. I'm not like that. I'm like this. See, I wouldn't do things that way. I would do things like this. So they're not putting it out there to correct their brother or sister. They're putting it out there to show that they're better than their brother or sister. See, come to me. See, come to me because I would do it better. See? So it's not with an earnest spirit in Christ to gain brothers or sisters. And this is why Christ called them what? The 5th verse.
Verse number 5. Thou hypocrite.
Thou what?
Thou hypocrite.
Thou hypocrite.
First cast out the beam out of thine own eye.
You can't even see yourself straight. Read.
And then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
Now you're seeing clearly. You have the knowledge on how to do it without burning bridges, without destroying everything. If you really care about if you really care for your brother or sister. And this is why Christ, after setting this particular premise, after Christ set this premise, he's identifying those who are swine, who has the demons in them. So Christ said, people like this that I'm talking about, who's always talking about someone else and isn't building. 6th verse.
Give not that which is holy unto dogs.
And this is why they wanted to kill Christ. Christ was pointing out their hypocrisy. When a person is running just to cause conflict, to put doubt in others, to do things one-sided, hoping to cause a division or a point like a ram for a collision. So that's why Christ pointed out. So when you see people operating like that, now you understand where the demons lie. And avoid it, because why? It's only gaining entry for you to become a host to carry their demon. Right? And through proxy, Satan is now going to use you to attack like they are attacking. And that's why Christ said, what, read?
Give not that which is holy unto dogs.
Unto dogs. People like this is operating, according to Christ, like dogs. Read.
Neither cast ye your pearls before swine.
Neither cast your pearls, the gift that comes with the brotherhood and love up with this knowledge. The gift of the kingdom. Be careful who you give it to. Be careful. Cast not, neither cast your pearls before swine, read.
Lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you.
And they'll turn again and rend the person who gifted them, who helped them. They'll feel entitled to everything you've given them. Right? And then utilize everything that the blessings they had amongst you and turn it for evil. Like none of the pearls I received was good. Everything I witnessed was wicked and evil. They'll turn it on you. So when you recognize the pathology And that's what it is, of someone with demons in them, seeking to have platforms just to judge someone else's work or matters. Know what you're dealing with, because Christ was dealing with the same type of characters. Everyone out there that you actually do things for isn't going to appreciate it. Some people take things from you, right? And get things from you while resenting you the same time. The same time. They'll get all the gifts, the blessings, everything the Most High bestowed upon you, you bestowed upon them, and they're taking it with the spirit of resentment. Why? Because if they was in position, they wouldn't do the same thing. They think there's an angle to it. They take it with resentment because it isn't them bestowing the gifts. It's them receiving it. And they resent the fact that it's coming through someone else and not them. I'm talking about the blessings that they're receiving. They still resent. That's why you must be careful. And I'm going to go into more context as we wrap this up. Right? Let's get the legion out of the scriptures where the Most High cast the spirit out of the legion. And let's go into the person or people who would be operating in the spirit with legions on them. How do you know they have legions on them? They cannot keep any relationships intact. What they do is they get to a point where they blow everything up in their lives, all through their lives, not realizing it isn't the people on the outside of them. It's the ram or the demon that have overtaken them, which they've never overcome or put on Christ. And guess what, folks? That's the story of the man who had the demons of legion on him. His family couldn't correct him when you go into the stories of him. Every place he went, he caused issues and always blamed it on someone else. It was always someone else's fault. And eventually no one could bear him anymore. And guess what? The demon sought to separate him from all those who would help him, so that the demon could take hold and utilize that man for himself and allow other demons to come in. Until Christ came and freed that man. And really, in a nutshell, for those who don't understand, these are people you have met, no matter how well you've done for them, never showed any level of appreciation for what you've done for them. Show no appreciation. They act as if the whole relationship with you was something wrong. And when they recalculate the relationship they had with you, they can only see bad. And you're looking at it like, what? You don't remember you needed this, and I did this, and I did this. That means you received everything in the spirit of unappreciation. See? And I'm breaking it down to the lowest level so you can understand how to avoid being destroyed from such people who don't appreciate anything, who feel entitled to what you've given them. See? Let's read it in the Apocrypha, Elder Lloyd. Let's get this one.
You want Legion?
Let's get the stray bull stray and alone first.
Yes, sir.
Extol not thyself in thine own counsel. And then we're going to get the legion. Because these are those, going back to Enoch, the spirits would take. And be careful, folks. We have to be careful not to walk in the spirit of entitlement and appreciate those who have blessed you. We have to be very careful with that, all of us. That's why I'm forever grateful and thankful to anyone that have ever done anything for me, and I'll never forget it, and I'll say it out loud. And it doesn't matter that they may have done something negative or things that I didn't like. I still appreciate what they were for me for friendship's sake. See? Because how can I deny the blessings the Most High did through another person for me? If I deny that person, I'm denying the spirit that worked through them to bless me. Right? Oh, we thick up in here right now. 2,700. Hit the like button. We're still about 1,000 down. We're going in. Come on. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. The book of Sirach, chapter 6, verse number 2.
Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Read. Chapter, verse.
Chapter 6, verse number 2.
Read.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart. That means you're to yourself convincing yourself of something. You got to extol yourself in the counsel of the Almighty. Okay? The counsel of the Bible. I can give you an example, and I went over this last week. I'm not beating a dead horse, but I'm giving you an example. The Bible says, receive not an accusation unless it be before 2 or more witnesses. Right? Someone is trying to tell me something. In order for me, listen, someone is trying to tell me something, but I know I'm breaking that scripture. Now, to extol myself in my own counsel, I'll just listen to what it have to say because it's negative that I need against someone I resent. But if I consult with the knowledge of my heart according to the Bible, I'll say, no, brother or sister, you can't come to me with that because there's other sides to this, and I'm not going to be an accomplice to your anger right now. I'm not going to extol myself in mine own heart. I'm going to use the heart of God and weigh this as Christ would. See? So the Bible says, lean not on your own understanding. That means when you're confused or dealing with something, lean on the heart of God before making a decision. See? Verify with the heavens that what you're doing is right by following the law. And this, folks, hence the reason why the Pharisees hated Christ. Because they always came to him with Christ upbraiding the law, what he was doing against the law. Oh yeah, I heard this, and this law was being broken. When you're breaking a law, receive not an accusation before 2 or more witnesses. So how can you claim someone else is breaking a law when you're breaking a law? See, Christ pointed out the hypocrisy of the Pharisees operating in the spirit of swine. Read it.
Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone.
That your soul be what?
Not torn in pieces.
That your soul be not torn in pieces, what?
As a bull straying alone.
As a bull straying alone. The anger have attacked everyone around it to a degree where now the spirits have the person to themselves now. Where the only person they can destroy is themselves. And that's what the demon wanted. Having them straight alone, captured and bounded by the demons who have taken them. Everyone else is the enemy. Everyone else is right. Right? And I'm the everyone, excuse me, let me correct that. Everyone else is wrong. And then I'm the only one right by myself. Right? I'm the only one right. Everyone else, not realizing the demon have caused an attack when no one else can even bear or be around such a person. They've convinced themselves that they're right with no one wanting to be around them. See? And so the spirits would have such a person move themselves so that it can have them and destroy them. Where the only people who care or can help them, they have actually destroyed and attacked by letting the spirits in their thoughts overtake them. Read it again.
Yes, sir. Extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone.
As a bull straying alone, running around just angry by yourself like a bull. And anyone get in between that will be torn apart like the demon is seeking to tear that person apart or that individual apart, male or female. That's how it works, folks. You want to know what, hey, and I'm giving y'all the insight, folks. Go downtown and see some of these people who are talking to themselves and are riddled with spirits. And if you get some of their stories, some of these people were high class, highly educated, rich people. Those who had things together, family and all that when you get their background. Okay? When you get their background, a lot of these people were highly intelligent people, and now they're running around with a cart talking to themselves and all that. And you don't even know the backstory. The backstory usually is they were in a scenario over and over again through their lives where others tried to correct them and help them, and they took that help as entitlement or bit the hands that fed them. To now the family's backed off and say, nah, we can't do it no more. You're not bringing that into our house anymore. And now, what? Legion overtakes them. Who's Legion? Let's read it, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. If I could mention one thing on this particular scripture, reading it again in the book of Ecclesiastes 6:2.
Yes.
It says, extol not thyself in the counsel of thine own heart, that thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull straying alone. There's a reason why in the animal kingdom or in the wild, bulls travel in packs. Bulls travel together. Bulls travel tight-knit. Why?
Yep.
Because it gives them an easier chance to survive against a predator. Now, if you have a bull that strays alone, that bull becomes weak. That bull becomes open and an easy prey for a predator.
To be devoured, exactly.
Exactly. Whether it be a hyena, a wild dog, a jaguar, a tiger, or a lion. Now, since we're speaking spiritually, we understand that the predator is who? Satan himself, who the Bible says is like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. That's it on that.
Exactly. You find yourself alone. That's where the demons want you, exposed to be a prey for Satan. Great point, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Now let's get Legion.
All right, this is the book of Luke, chapter 8, verse number 26.
Okay, let me pull it up, Elder Lawyer. Luke 8 and what?
And 26.
And 26. Thank you all. Please hit the like button for us, please. You're doing a great job, but we're about 500 down. Everyone who didn't hit the like button, please do it now, please. Help us out. We're being shadow banned. Luke 8 and 26. Now remember, in the beginning of this lesson, brothers and sisters, where we show the origin of demons. Right? The origin of the demons. Now here's a man who came in the midst of Christ's path, riddled with demons, the same demons that we read about in the book of Enoch. The children who were produced from fallen angels and women is the origin of demons. Let's read Luke 8 and 26. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. And they arrived at the country of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee. And when he went forth to the land, there he met out of the city a certain man which had devils long time.
Which had devils long time. Read.
And wear no clothes, neither abode in any house, but in the tombs.
So because this particular man could not operate amongst normal society. He was cast where the graveyards were. He was where the graveyards were. Running around talking to himself. The demons totally overtook this man. Read.
28. And when he saw Yeshua, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, What have I to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of God, Most High?
What do I have to do with you, Christ? So the spirit in the man recognized Yeshua, whom the world called Jesus. Read.
What have I to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of God, Most High? I beseech thee, torment me not.
Torment me not. And in other chapters, like in Matthew, it asks, have you come to torment us before the time? So the demons are asking Christ not to judge them prematurely. It's not your time to judge me. As a matter of fact, let's get the other one, the precept for that.
Yes, sir.
Right? Let's get the precept, Matthew 8. Matthew 8. And 28.
Yes, sir. The book of Matthew, chapter 8, verse number 28.
Read it.
And when he was come to the other side, into the country of the Gergesenes, there he met two possessed with devils.
Same spirit, same understanding, same truth that we read in the book of Luke. Read.
Coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way.
Come on.
Verse 29. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time?
Have you come to torment us before the time? So they knew the origin of demonology when the spirits were actually judged during the time of Enoch. They knew that they would have some time on the earth to go into people who sin and to destroy until Christ judged them upon his second return. So they knew him. See? And they said, have you come to torment us before it's time to judge us? So this is why they fear those who are in Christ. And folks, hence the reason why the Roman Catholic Church, along with Hollywood, made scary movies. They made scary movies so that those who believe in Christ would fear them, when it's supposed to be the other way around. They fear us. So through that psychology, what? Through fear, the population give demons preeminence or power over them. This is why Hollywood always have a Catholic church and the Catholic priest is getting beat up and destroyed. You don't see none of that happening here, where the Catholic priest is getting thrown around in a building. So they reversed it so that people could fear the demons who are supposed to fear us, who do fear us in Christ. Read the 30th verse.
Verse number 30.
Read.
And Yeshua asked him, saying, What is thy name?
Hold on. You at 30.
Yes, sir. And Yeshua asked him, saying,
8 and 30?
Luke 8 and 30. Oh, you're still in Matthew? Okay.
I'm in Matthew.
Yes, sir. Matthew 8, verse number 30.
We're going back to Luke.
Yes, sir. Matthew 8 and 30. And there was a good way off from them an herd of many swine feeding.
And there was what?
And there was a good way off from them an herd of many swine feeding.
Many swine feeding. Now, for those who missed it, brothers and sisters, I showed earlier through white papers. I showed early through white papers. Hold that, elder lawyer. How in the ancient Babylonian and Assyrian priesthood, the magic of demonology, how the Babylonian priests would use exorcists to cast spirits out of people. Right? Well, it shows here that the Sipru series contains prayers and incantations against taboo, that against evil spirits provides the haunted with spells which will exorcise demon ghosts and the powers of the air generally. We know that's Satan, the power of the air. And place devils under a ban. In other magical tablets, the disease to which poor humanity is prone and are guarded against, and instructions are given on the manner in which they may be transferred to dead bodies, animals, transferring demons in exorcisms, usually casting them into swine or goats. The Babylonian way of exorcism. Now imagine if this is what the elite used to cast spirits into these particular animals, in particular swine, and then they make swine the other white meat in our communities cheaper than any other meat to consume. Now we know that there's clean goats, like the Bible says, so it's not like we're not to eat goat, because the Bible says it's clean. But we're looking at swine in particular. Why they make swine so cheap? So that people can operate like pigs. Like pigs. The savagery of piglets. Occasionally, souls will attack their own piglets. They don't care about their own children. Usually soon after birth, causing injury or death. Eating their own and killing their own. The pathology of a pig who don't care about anything else but its self-existence, even if it's eating other people. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Matthew 8:30. And there was a good way off from them, and herd of many swine feeding.
Swine feeding.
So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine.
Now listen to what the demons said to Christ. If thou cast us out, cast us into the herd of swine. Now, out of all the animals, it would rather be cast in the swine, because what? The spirits of the Nephilim operate in the spirit of a pig. It devours its own. It's nasty. It goes into its own wallow. Read.
32. And he said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine, and behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and perished into the waters.
And perished into the waters. Right? So understand, they killed the pig so that they could be allowed to float away from Christ to find more hosts. That's how it works. Christ never did an exorcism. Exorcisms are the practice of what? Casting out demons under the Babylonian priesthood. See? So what you see the Christian churches doing isn't healing and casting out spirits. Right. The exorcisms are from Babylon, where they choose an animal or something else or dead body as a host for the demon. Y'all got that? Now let's go back to Luke and read the same story, if we will, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Let's St. Luke chapter 8, verse number 29.
Let's go back to Luke 8, 29. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of God?
You at 8:29?
Slakia. Luke 8 and 39. I'm still in Matthew. St. Luke chapter 8 and verse number 27.
27. Let's go.
And when he went forth to the land, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils a long time.
Come on.
And wear no clothes, neither abode in any house, but in the tombs.
Come on.
Verse 28. And when he saw Yeshua, he cried out and fell down before him with a loud voice, said, What have I to do with thee, Yeshua, thou Son of God Most High?
Read.
I beseech thee, torment me not.
Please do not torment me. Read.
29. For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man. For oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound with chains and in fetters.
Come on.
And he brake the bands and was driven of the devil into the wilderness.
And was driven as the devil was the devil into the wilderness, like so-called the scapegoat. Filled with abomination, hatred, variances, to a degree where the demons overtook the man. And guess what? None of us is susceptible to this. If we allow the thoughts of evil against brothers and all that to consume us, it can happen to any of us. That's why the Bible says, be angry, but sin not. Never let your emotions overtake you to a degree where you become a host, because guess what? That demon will allow other demons in to overtake the body altogether. Be very careful to exercise the principles of Christ to stave off becoming a host to legion. Read.
30. And Yeshua asked him, saying, What is thy name? And he said, Legion.
Legion.
Because many devils were entered into him.
Because many devils were entered into him. Legion. Many. Attack, do battle, cause friction. This is how you know those who are under the devil opposed to those who are in Christ. Because Christ states, Blessed are the peacemakers, for theirs are the kingdom of heaven. Read.
31. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep.
Please don't cast us into the deep. Read.
And there was there an herd of many swine feeding on the mountain. And they besought him that he suffered them to enter into them.
Now they offered, they said, please cast us into the swine. The lowest, most abominable animal that have ever been created. Cast us into the swine. Now imagine if they're doing that today, and here it is, they can package it up and wash it off and make it look good. Read.
33. Then went the devils out of the man and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the lake, and were choked.
Read.
And when they had fed them, and when they that fed them saw what was done, they fled and went in and told it in the city and in the country.
And when the demons were cast out of these two, they ran to the city and told the family, I'm released. I'm healed. See? That's why the Bible make it clear, brothers and sisters, not to operate in the spirit of swine. When you're angry all the time, upset all the time, drunk to cover the true ills that are going on with you. When you don't see anything good and everything is wrong in your sight, there's a spirit there. There's a spirit there. Now let's wrap it up, Elder Lawyer. Let's go back to John 5 and 7.
Yes, sir. First John.
No, let's go to John. I'm sorry, Matthew 7 and 6.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. St. Matthew chapter 7, verse number 6.
Come on.
Give not that which is holy unto dogs.
Unto dogs.
Neither cast ye your pearls before swine.
Neither cast ye your pearls before swine.
Lest they trample them under their feet.
Lest they trample thee under thy feet. So what does it mean when Christ says casting your pearls to swine? Well, let's go up a few verses to give an example of those who are operating in the spirit of swine. Read a few verses before that, where it says, judge not, lest ye be judged.
Verse 1.
Read.
Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again.
These are those that are out there trying to judge other people as if they're right. Read.
Verse 3. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye?
Why talk about your brother
But considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye.
When what you're dealing with is even worse. Read.
Verse
Or
4.
sister. Read.
Verse 4. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote out of thine eye?
Oh yeah, let me correct you. Read.
And behold, a beam is in thine own eye.
When it's even worse on your side. And that's male or female. Putting others down to exalt themselves. How many of you met people like that you've helped and did all things for, and only to be evil spoken of? That's what Christ is talking about here. Read.
5. Thou hypocrite.
Thou what?
Thou hypocrite.
Oh yeah, you're the one. You're the one that have all the answers. That's why Christ says, thou hypocrite. Read.
Thou hypocrite. First cast out the beam out of thine own eye.
Correct yourself.
And then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote out of thy brother's eye.
And then you'll know how to heal your brother or sister in the spirit of unity. To not be stray bulls, but to actually reconcile. To be fellow laborers. Or it could be somebody outside the truth. It could be brothers or sisters who know no matter what you do for a person, they don't appreciate it. And you tell them, listen, I'm not going to deal with you until you correct yourself. Until you correct yourself. Because every time I'm trying to express to you what you're doing and how to keep our relationship together, instead of you saying, my bad, I did wrong, you deflect by trying to point out something that happened to you. That's a very dangerous person, folks, that cannot see anything they're doing themselves. Very dangerous. Read.
Verse 6. Give not that which is holy unto dogs.
So Christ said, listen, you got to stop doing that. Stop giving things and giving the blessings of the Most High he bestowed upon you towards people who don't respect or appreciate it. Because they feel entitled to it. They feel they're supposed to have the greatness and the goodness you've bestowed upon them. They feel entitled to it. So Christ says, don't give it to them. Let's see if anybody else is going to treat them like you've treated them. Let's see if anybody else can do the things you've done for them. And then that'll be their learning curve if Christ is in them. They'll know and appreciate what your relationships were when they no longer have access to the gifts you bestowed upon them. But the more you give it to them, they'll take it in the spirit of resenting you and use all your gifts and power to turn and destroy you with it. See? Read.
Give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine.
Don't cast your pearls before swine,
lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you.
because they'll take what you gave them and turn it to negative to destroy you with it. Now, sometimes one cannot recognize when someone is operating with this such spirit, like a spirit of a bull. I'm going to give you an example from the woman's side real quick. Elder Lawyer, let's now go to Proverbs 11 and 22. Let's get it from the woman's side. How do you recognize? Because women may seem dainty and all that from the outward appearance, but really, there's a bull, a stubbornness, a destruction that's in that woman that every man must avoid. And sometimes they show it. Let's read Proverbs, Elder Lawyer. Let's get Proverbs 11.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get it so they can see it. Proverbs 11 and 22. Let's start at the 21st verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 21. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. But the seed of the righteous shall be delivered.
But the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. And that's what I put out there for brothers and sisters when I say, listen, of course, people are going to do you wrong and all that, or you know somebody did you wrong. But let me tell you, vengeance is the Lord's. No one gets away unpunished. And if you get in the way of that judgment by trying to execute the judgment yourself, you're taking away a place where Christ can come in to fix it for you. So always understand in the back of your mind that when someone is doing evil or speaking evil against you, always understand that no one gets away. You just don't get in the way of that judgment by seeking judgment with your own hands. Read the 22nd verse.
22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout.
Hold up. As a jewel of gold that's in a swine's nose, their snout, which is their nose.
So is a fair woman which is without discretion.
So is a fair woman which is without discretion. Right? That means this fair woman will be out doing all that she want to do. Right? So a fair woman is without discretion, as a jewel of gold in a swine's snout. How many of us see this over and over again without actually getting the message of what these women are saying without speaking? A bull ring. A bull ring. And usually they're telling you, they're letting you know outright that they are confrontational. They're confrontational. Conflict. A bull ring. And that's why it talks about, hey, let me put it again. They're telling you, get ready for a fight. The bull ring is used so that someone can put a rope around it to try to tame it and stop it from destroying it. So usually when you see a woman with that bull ring, without saying it, they're letting you know the confrontational bull spirit that lies as a demon within them. And that's why the Bible states, as a jewel of gold in a swine's snout. Who would put a nice jewel in the nose of a pig? Cast your pearl. Do not cast your pearls before swine. It's like, so is a fair woman which is without discretion, hoping that a woman who's out there doing what she wants to do, showing you who she is, and now you're trying to treat her and bring her in like a fair lady or a virgin who will not harm you. That's casting your pearls before swine on another level. Huh? Elder Lawyer, now let's get Matthew 22, 5 and 6. We're almost done. Because what happens if you cast your pearls before swine? They'll rend you underfoot. Let's get Matthew, Elder Lawyer, yes, 22. Sir. Let's get it here for all to see. Matthew 22, 5 and 6.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, let me get it here. Let's start at the first verse. We're going to read it down to 6.
Yes, sir. St. Matthew 22, verse 1.
This is Christ.
And Yeshua answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son.
Who made a marriage for his son.
And sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding.
Come on.
And they would not come.
and they would not come. He sent forth his servants to call them. Now, Christ is the one who's bidding all to the wedding. And it says they would not come. Read.
Verse 4. Again, he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage.
Are you willing to come into Christ's marriage? Become a servant to do his will, his work? Here's the parable. Read.
5. But they made light of it.
They made light of it.
And went their ways, one to his farm.
One to his farm.
Another to his merchandise.
Another to his merchandise.
Verse
Read.
6. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them.
And it says you have a remnant of them who took Christ's servants and spitefully looked to attack those who were actually working. Those that were actually in the vineyard. They sought to destroy those who were actually working while they weren't doing anything. Check that out. Read.
Verse 7. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burnt up their city.
There you go. Christ judged the matter. And what we're talking about, what? Casting pearls to swine. What happens is everyone is bid to the wedding. But you will have servants who will be on the side looking to destroy those who are seeking to build the kingdom. There's a judgment for that. And the Most High, through Christ, make that example through this parable. That you'll have others who would seek to destroy from the outside, doing nothing. More. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 10.
St. Matthew 24, verse number 10.
Let's read it.
And then shall many be offended.
And then shall many be what?
And then shall many be offended.
There you go. Read.
And shall betray one another.
And shall betray one another.
And shall hate one another.
And shall hate one another. See? Those who would betray will come against. It all links in. And guess what? Paul and them was dealing with the same thing. Let's go to 1 Timothy 4, 14 and 15. Let's go there real quick.
Yes, sir.
1 Timothy. Hold on, let me get it here. 1 Timothy 4, 14 and 15.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's read it. Matter of fact, hold on. There's one that I want in particular that I wanted to get.
Is it second?
Let me get it here. 1 second, folks. This is it. 2 Timothy 4 and 14. Thank you, lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's read this.
2 Timothy 4:14. Alexander the coppersmith
Alexander the coppersmith
did much evil.
did much evil,
The Lord reward him according to his works.
and the Most High reward him according to his works.
Of whom be thou ware also, for he have greatly withstood our words.
And these were they during Paul's times who withstood the words of admonition. So some people might ask, I've never heard this story, Elder, about Alexander the coppersmith. Who's that? That was an antagonist during the time of Paul. Well, let's go into Alexander the coppersmith. And it links directly to casting pearls to swine. Alexander coppersmith is a person in the New Testament mentioned by Paul in 2 Timothy, which states, Alexander the coppersmith, did me great harm, and the Lord will repay him according to his deeds. Well, when you go into this, there's some secular records, Christian records, but I'm going to sum this up for you. Paul notes that Alexander serves almost as an anti-type to Christ, who showed grace to Paul. Spencer suggests that while Demas had been a passive opponent, so they come off passive at first. Oh, I'm really down. I really respect what's going on, but. See, they come off passive. So to not seem as if they are an outright enemy, to sway those who don't know the scenarios. Alexander, also in history, was an active opponent of the gospel, of the disciples, mainly Paul. Alexander was a known opponent. He made himself in opposition to those who taught him. So when you read, let's read it again.
2 Timothy 4:14.
Let's read it again.
Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil.
Did me much evil. So when you go into the research of Alexander the coppersmith, he was one during Paul's time that actually learned through Paul, wouldn't have known the gospel, wouldn't have received any recognition if it wasn't for the teachings. And he made himself first passively as if he was down with them, only to gain influence to those who learned under Paul. Only to become outwardly before everyone Paul's nemesis. Now you understand why the Bible states not to cast your pearls before swine? Let's go to Acts. Let's go to Proverbs 26:11.
Proverbs 26, verse 11.
So, brothers and sisters, don't ever take anything from people when they try to claim they're down with something. And, oh yeah, we cool, we straight, there's no issues at all. But that's the devil. That pandering is hiding their true intentions. To destroy from the inside out. Because they knew if the people understood their true intentions, those people would run away from the bull. That's right. Look up the story of Alexander the coppersmith. Got notoriety and respect and all that through the gospel that was delivered him. But then became an opponent to those who taught him. Let's go to Proverbs 26:11. Let's read it.
Proverbs 26, verse 11.
Yep.
As a dog returneth to his vomit.
Read it again.
As a dog returneth to his vomit.
Read it again.
As a dog returneth to his vomit.
As a dog. As a dog that returned to its own vomit. Read.
So a fool returneth to his folly.
So a fool returneth to his foolishness. Because you have to think about it. How can you destroy anything that have blessed you or come against it when that is what gave you as a person? And a lot of you have people in your life like this. Credibility. Not realizing you're destroying your own self. what gave you preeminence or glory or honor, you'll destroy. Without people looking at it and saying, isn't this self-destruction? Which the Bible states, as a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his foolishness, his folly. Let's go to Acts 13. Now, when Paul dealt with this, how did he handle it? Let's go to the book of Acts. Hold on. Let's go to Acts 13, and let's go to 45. Let's read the 45th verse.
Acts 13, verse number 45.
Yes.
But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy.
So now the Pharisees and scribes and others understand that Paul and the disciples came to the Israelites first, the Pharisees first. And it says here, when you read, let me get it, Acts 13 and 45. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, all the people come out, read.
They were filled with envy.
Envy.
And spake against those things which were spoken by Paul.
And they began to speak. Hold up, I want them to see this. These are our people now, Israelites who believe in the Bible. But when the Jews saw that the multitudes, they were filled with envy. That's a deep spirit right there. And spake against those which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Read on.
46. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you, but seeing ye put it from you, and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles.
This is why Paul and them opened it up to actually teach people who would actually appreciate the gospel. Gentiles. Because when they went strictly to their own people who were dealing with the law, they didn't appreciate it. The same people began to envy, tear apart, disrespect those who actually taught them. So you know what Paul said? Guess what? I'm not going to cast my pearls before swine. I'll go teach people who would at least appreciate my labor of love. I'll teach the other nations too. Because your own people will get it, the knowledge they didn't have beforehand, and think that they have the unmitigated gall to judge you with the lessons and teachings you gave them. Envying and contradicting. This is why Paul went to the Gentiles. Because at least they'll appreciate the gospel. Why? Because they aren't the people. They will appreciate that they received something that wasn't originally given to them. Because you give it to your own people and they'll stab you in the back with it. And I need y'all to out there look at the so-called exposed videos out there. And see how many Gentiles who have learned the truth is out there trying to expose something. And look at the Israelites. Read down to 47. Come on.
Sir. Verse number 46. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said, it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you, but seeing ye put it from you, and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles.
We turn to the other nations. Don't get mad when Gentiles are learning, understanding the kingdom for what they will receive, while you're on the outside, claiming to be an Israelite. Read.
47. For so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light to the Gentiles.
A light to the Gentiles. An example, read.
That thou shouldest be for salvation unto the ends of the earth.
Unto the ends of the earth. Instead of infighting and this, that, and the other, It's about spreading the gospel in preparation for Christ's kingdom. Last scripture, Proverbs 2:22. Remember, brothers and sisters, remember this. Cast not your pearls before swine. And we're going to end it with that scripture, but let me read this first.
Yes, sir. Proverbs 2:22.
No, we're going to Peter's.
Yes, sir. First.
Let me see. All of it is good. 2 Peter's 2. 2 Peter's 2. Let's start at 20.
Yes, sir. 2 Peter 2:20. For if they have escaped the pollutions of the world,
So once we have escaped the pollutions of the world,
through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior, Yeshua the Christ,
through the knowledge of our Savior. So we are to operate with each other according to his code on how to deal with each other, even in disagreement. After we escape the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of our Christ, read.
they are again entangled therein and overcome. The latter end is worse with them than the beginning.
And then the latter end is worse with them than the beginning.
21. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness.
It was better that one didn't know the way or the path.
Then after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them.
To turn away from the holy commandment given them. Finishing the work. Read.
22. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb.
Unto the true proverb.
The dog is turned to his own vomit again.
Read.
And the soul that was washed to our wallowing in the mire.
And the pig or the pig have gone back to the mire. And this is why Christ proclaimed, last but not least, what? Let's read it. Let's read it one more again. Matthew 7 and 6.
St. Matthew 7 and 6. Give not that which is holy unto dogs.
Brothers and sisters, be careful not to give things to people who will never appreciate it. Who will take everything you give them through envying and utilize what you've given them to turn on you. Give not that which is holy unto dogs. Read.
Neither cast ye your pearls before swine.
And don't cast your pearls before swine. Appreciate the gift that the Most High has given you and give it to those who show appreciation for it. Read.
Lest they trample them under their feet.
Because they'll destroy you with it. Anything you give them, they'll utilize it to turn and destroy you. Read.
And turn again and rend you.
And turn again to rend you. Well, that concludes our lesson for today. Casting pearls before swine. Be very careful. We're near the end where betrayal will be on 100 until Christ returns. And with this knowledge, you'll know who to cast your pearls upon. And you'll also know when to hide your pearls. With that, let me make this announcement real quick for those who missed the announcement. All praises be to the Most High. We have good news. We are excited to announce that myself and Elder Lawyer, along with the regional elders, are planning a special day of baptisms for all 4 regions outside, where now we'll come and baptize newly members in the church throughout the regions. Look for this. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And we're here. So many people are coming in now, and we're going to solidify the saints before the saints leave and go marching into Zion. Look out for this. Also land. We are in negotiations to purchase farmland. and campgrounds, okay, for tabernacles, Passovers, and others, okay? So we can have our own feast days with our own property for food and all that, understanding that the world will soon go into a famine, okay? That and more initiatives, we need your support. We would like to thank the leadership who have done all the hard work throughout the four corners and continue to do the hard work, because what? Finishing isn't an option. It's one thing to be in the work. It's another thing finishing it. But I'd like to thank the leaders who are currently holding the fort. Okay. Also, we would like to thank the leadership throughout the earth and the administration who works with our leadership. And we'd like to thank you all that donate to the Gathering of Christ Church, as none of this would be possible without your support. And personally, I would like to say, I appreciate all you do. We have a new website, which is 99% done, just doing a few tweaks before we launch it. You'll hear about this soon. The new website will be more interactive, have new articles, prepping, tips, and monthly updates on what GOCC is up to, and offer those on GOCC Network more visibility. And finally, it will allow guests to be more easily contacted to get into a church nearby. We will also have a Children Are Our Future section. Now that section is coming soon, and that will provide educational lessons, biblical stories, and much more for our children. All right. We have a new academy, which will begin Sunday, June 25th. The theme of the next academy will be focused on the true history of the world. Some new lessons will be submitted within the title, such as the serpent seed, the fall of the gods, providing archaeological proof of the fall of gods, and the flood and that history. The color in the Bible, providing proof of our nobility, how our people ruled Europe at the same time the Romans, led by the evil papacy, was seeking to unseat us. That whole history will be taught in the next academy. The split between Israel and Judah, history of kings of Judah, the good and the bad, and we'll give you a chart of both. In Israel's history, archaeological proof of Israel's kingship, and the history of, we're going to try to add in some of the Maccabean Hasmonean dynasty within that particular lesson. Who is Christ? Well, we're going to break down the historical evidence of Christ's existence, not just amongst the Hebrew annals, but the Gentiles' history concerning him. The Western world is trying to claim Christ never exists, and we're going to dispel that myth. Last but not least, roundtable discussion on marriage, the battle between man and woman, a roundtable discussion where we'll have single men on one side and single women on the other side to give us their insight to why they believe we can't come together like we once did as a nation. Why is it that man and woman are at odds? Okay, that and more. I hope that you will attend. Go to historytimes.org. And guess what? We'll make sure the administration is on standby, get you enrolled. The earlier you do it, the better, so that you're not calling in the last moment asking what happened, okay, when it comes to your enrollments. Go to historytimes.org. The new academy will be before us before you know it. We'll be here before you know it. And last but not least, real quick, I stated yesterday, but I wanted to also highlight the fact that the Run the Race calendar and your support for this calendar was a serious success. Not only is the calendar a great piece to keep time according to God and Sabbaths, the artistry in it is, the pictures are second to none. And also we honored our past saint Dwayne. And through this, we were able to give an exorbitant amount of the particular calendar to help his family, his daughter, as well as his wife. Thank you for your support. The calendars are still there, but Blaine's family, thank you. The UK, thank you. And guess what? This is what nation building looks like. Supporting each other in a time of trouble. Okay? Now, you can also donate. Okay, you can donate through real quick. You can donate through Cash App, $ GOCC 144 donate, and that's specifically for the elders who teach on a weekly basis before you. Okay, when you send money in for the church, that's the church's money. It doesn't go to us. Okay, so if you want to help through Cash App, $ GOCC 144 donate. Okay, if you don't have this in particular, if you don't have Cash App, go to gatheringofchristchurch.org/donate, and you'll see all these different options to support the church. The online classes, local congregation, bereavement funds to assist funeral costs, disaster relief, and if there's something in particular you want to send money for to help the church outside of these, you can actually put that within the comment section that you would send to us. Well, I want to send specifically to go towards that, and it will go towards that. Okay. With that, thank you. It's been a blessed Sabbath, and remember, cast not your pearls before swine, lest you be rend underfoot. Elder Lawyer, what is the academy for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's going to be Judgment of the Nations.
Judgment of the nations. The judgment of the Gentile nations who have conspired against the children of Israel and seek to oppress us. It's being hid under the guise of immigration right now. But guess what? We're going to highlight and bring a full understanding on how this earth will be judged for their sins against our God and God's people tomorrow. With that, may the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. Shalom.
Shalom.
I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me, and through the tribulation I know I must stand.